Plus Sports special on a Saturday morning on PlusTvAfrica, of course. My name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show. What a Saturday morning. Too many things have happened. So many things I'm going to actually take from my head this morning. I've got V6, Victor Godfrey as usual. Good morning, Victor.
Thank you for using that term V6. I haven't used that on TV in a while, but it's good to be here.
I dug it out. Okay, so this particular one tickles my fancy this morning. I'll tell you why I feel like that. Former Arsenal striker, his name is Kevin Campbell. He wants Nigerian billionaire Aliko Dangote as the new owner of the English Premier League side Arsenal, despite son Kroenke insisting the North London club is not for sale. Now, Dangote's long-time ambition of acquiring Arsenal hit a snag after the club's director, Josh Kroenke, son of Arsenal owner Stan, revealed they had no plans to sell the club. Arsenal were one of 6 English clubs who signed up for the project before withdrawing amid a storm of protests from fans, players, and the British government, alongside threats of bans and sanctions from the game's European and world governing bodies. However, Campbell and some Arsenal fans believe it's time Dangote took over the club. Dangote has never hidden his desire to buy the London club, but speaking in a Bloomberg report, successful businessman in 2017 said he had coveted the club since 1980 when he became a fan, and added that he hadn't given up on a dream, adding that his plans to acquire the club were presently on hold until the completion of his $11 billion oil refinery in Lagos. Again in 2020, the billionaire renewed his bid to acquire Arsenal. Our own Dangote.
Well, that would be, it's bittersweet for me, and I'll explain why. Minus the drama that we've had in the last, 1 week of football with this whole Super League business. Dangote is a massive businessman across Africa, respected internationally. He has done well for himself, done well for African business. But at the same time, buying that for us would be, okay, first African or black man to own a foreign football club as big as Arsenal. But what about our local football clubs?
Exactly.
How about you, instead of spending all that money in buying just one European football club, buy the Nigerian Football League, rebrand it. I mean, in Europe, they can say, no, we don't want the Super League, we want this. But we need that, actually, in Nigeria. We need to have a league that will give us the most exciting games. I want to see, the big teams play each other every weekend in Nigeria, well packaged, wonderful presentation. So if he wants to buy Arsenal Football Club, it's bittersweet, but I'd rather he invest in our own sports here in Africa rather than, but again, this is just the call of a certain football fan. But also, you can't deny the rumors that have been swirling around for the last 5, 6, 7 years about Dangote's interest in Arsenal. He's been interested. It might be a joke now, but you don't know how life can happen in the next 4 or 5 years. He might actually buy off Arsenal.
Well, like you mentioned a few minutes ago, Dangote is a businessman. And what gives these Arsenal fans the funny impression that if Dangote was the owner of Arsenal when the ESL was when the breakaway was planned, he wouldn't be part of it? What gives that impression? He's a businessman. He wants money.
Actually, I think football ownership is a very funny situation for football because, you see, fans of the club immediately enjoy the benefits of having a rich owner. For instance, money for transfers. Man City is enjoying it now. They can buy whoever they want to buy. They have the best coach in the world in Pep. But the issue we have is that financial fair play where you have the case where other clubs suffer. Because let's be honest, a few years ago, 12, 15 years ago, Man City was not even a club we used to talk about when you talk about Champions League. But they had a massive, ownership coming by the club. Same with Liverpool, same with Manchester United, same with Arsenal. So yes, you might enjoy the benefits as a fan of the club, just only you, but it affects football on a bigger scale.
I'll come back to that. I'm going to be using Ibrahimovic, Chelsea, as an example.
Okay.
But let me come to that. I think the problem with our billionaires, our philanthropists, is that, like we said earlier last week, trust issues. I'll give you an example. There's this Ibadan-based billionaire. He died recently. I won't call his name. Called John Fashanu and told him, Fashanu, please, I want to invest this money in a football club of your choice. Just pick a football club and go. And that period was when Eimba just won the CAF Champions League back-to-back.
2004
and
then.
Some of us who were privy to that news were like, oh, definitely it's good to go and invest the money in Eimba. Some of us who knew, journalists who knew. And Fashanu actually went to Wimbledon, who were in the 3rd division in England then, and invested the man's money in the club. He came back Fortunately or unfortunately for him, I was on a different platform than TV, so I had him on the show. I had him on the front burner, on the hot seat. Guy, how could you have taken all that money, considering a Nigerian club just won a record, just won the CAF Champions, but the first African country to do that team back to back. And then you take the money, and like, if I drop that money for Eyimba at that point in time, how accountable would I have been to the man who dropped the money? Good question. I didn't have an answer to that question, really. He was like, am I going to be the one to be on the neck of the auditors, on the accountants? But he said, despite the fact that Wimbledon were a third division club, there was more accountability than he could ever get in Eyimba.
But so let me break it down.
So he feels.
So that's Fashionu's opinion, and I respect John Fashanu. Like, I think he's one of the best ambassadors of football. Although he didn't represent us much, you know.
He wanted to.
I know, but let's just say after his international football career or his football career, he has done well for Nigerian sports to an extent. But I take a little bit of an issue with that statement he made. He said accountability, which I agree with. Now, you have been an international player in England, no doubt. You are affiliated to Wimbledon, which is, and of course, in the 70s and 80s, that was one of the toughest football clubs in England in terms of their style of play. Now, you can't tell me you cannot bring structure to the Nigerian Football League of football teams, because the problem we have at this point is just structure. If you don't have a structure in place to accommodate that kind of money, you will not have accountability. So he shouldn't say, oh, because Eyimba or Shooting Stars or whatever club was available at the time, Julius Berger doesn't have structure, I won't invest. You create it for us.
Let me give you an example. In as much as that sounds very right, most Nigerians watching the show right now would say Victor is saying this from a theoretical perspective.
Okay.
It's just theory. Practically, I've been there. And let me give you a very typical example that is in the media, in the newspapers, and the whole world knows about it. I'll give you an example of the practical aspect of it. This bets company, sporting bets company, goes to 3SC in Ibadan, the football club, and says, guys, we'll take 60% of your finances every year. We'll give you guys 40%. And then anything we make, we'll give you guys 60%, and we'll take 40%. Because my father was a fan of this club, my grandfather was a fan of this club, I am a fan. And I want to use my money to boost the club. I am tired of the way it is. You know what the club told him? They said no. He would disturb the money coming from the federal government. That's the practical aspect of it. Now, we're looking at a bet company who is a Nigerian, who is based in Nigeria, who knows some powers that be. He couldn't get it done. How would you expect a John Fashanu to come and change a structure when the guys who are in charge of the structure don't want it changed because of their pockets? It's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
But that's the way it is.
But you know, now things now become a bit more complex. You're right, because that is seen from one point of view, and obviously I wasn't there at that point in time. As a matter of fact, when Eyimba was winning the Champions League, I was still in secondary school, boarding school.
But you knew
it. But I was aware of it, obviously. But the thing is, the reality of the matter is this. What we need to, back to the talk about Dangote, the reality is if you actually restructure the football club and you bring in individuals or create an environment whereby if you don't step up, if you're not willing to do what's best for football in Nigeria, step up. You just mentioned something now about a grandfather supporting a football club, the father, the son. That is one of the reasons why this Super League didn't work, because of football heritage in England.
True.
That's over 100 years of football heritage of the reason why this didn't work out. We have the potential to have that also in Nigeria. I mean, I have been an Eyimba football fan supporter since I was a boy. If I do have a child, most likely my son will also, or daughter will support Eyimba.
No doubt.
So on and so forth. And we have this, we have Rangers, we have so many rivalries that has lasted since the 80s and even the 70s. Abiola Babes. There are many things that we have forgotten in terms of football heritage in Nigeria. So if we can come up with a structure, because if you have the money and you create that structure, it will work. That's my point of view.
Well, your point of view, but it's Nigeria, and I can assure you, your point of view, as nice as it seems, it does not work. I don't know why, but it just doesn't work. Wow. Everton kept alive their hopes of qualifying for Europe next season with a tight 1-0 win away at Arsenal on Friday. An own goal from the Gunners. Goalkeeper Bernd Leno gifted the visitors the point, although Toffee's manager Carlo Ancelloti admitted his side were a bit lucky to have emerged victorious. The Italian hailed it as an important victory after having not won in 5 league games and hopes the team maintains their solidity for the remaining 6 matches. On the protest from Arsenal fans outside the ground before the match in relation to the club's announcement that they were involved in the European Super League, Ancelloti said he understood them. But now it's time to support their team again.
Compared to last season, improve, and now we are in the fight for the European position. And this was we wanted to be at the start of the season. We are there. We have 6 games to the end, and we have to do our best every game. Listen, I think that what it is, I think it doesn't matter what is the personal opinion of the club, what they want to do. Of course, they are going to discuss with the UEFA if they want to try to find a solution. But I think the protest is absolutely normal, acceptable. But I think that it's time to look for everyone, to look to the game, to look to support your team. The protest is gone, the Super League is gone, and now focus on your team. This result is important if we are able to keep this consistency and this solidity that we had tonight. No. We were motivated because it was an important game, maybe vital game, because I think lose this game, we lost a lot of opportunity to fight for Europe. The fact that was the only motivation.
I can hear someone's voice, of course. I saw this morning, and I'm very unapologetic about this. I have always described Arsenal as a child who is very, very dull, but has a good handwriting. And they did exactly the same thing yesterday.
Whoa, come on, where did that come? That is hardcore.
Okay, let me
What?
Let me explain to you so you can understand. Arsenal played everything in football books yesterday. They played everything. As in, they were all over the pitch for 90 plus minutes.
Okay.
Everton won.
Yeah, but
so you ask yourself, what is the child doing with the handwriting when he's dull?
Okay.
What is the play all day and you can't score a goal?
You know, I can agree with that sentiment in terms of the play, because it reminds me of the South African national team. When South Africa plays football, you'll be like, wow. But
they're all over the place.
Yeah, the scoreline is... Okay, but let's even break it down. There are 2 major incidents in that match. Number 1, the goalkeeping error, which can happen to the best goalkeeper.
Anyone,
right?
yeah.
So that is the only reason, actually. Then technically, was Pepe actually offside? Because, you see, this VAR or VAR or video assistance referee or replay, whatever you want to call it, for me personally, it is as in fact, more controversial than when it was just normal linesmen doing their job back then. So there are many points in this game. I wouldn't blame Arsenal too much, or the team. I understand what Arsenal fans are going through right now. I know how hard it is to be an Arsenal fan. I am not an Arsenal fan, but I can understand.
No, you have no idea.
Oh, okay.
You have no idea. I have a cousin who lives with me.
Okay.
He's a staunch Arsenal fan. Right. He loves Arsenal. He dreams Arsenal. But he only has the ability to carry a bowl or a bottle. No matter how hard he tries, he can't carry a cup.
Oh,
where
are you coming with this analogy? Dude, you are just killing Arsenal fans right now.
The guy lives with me.
You are killing Arsenal fans right now.
No, really.
You know, there's one more thing I also want to add, because, you know, when Arsenal fans...
You can't carry a cup. I don't know.
I agree with that sentiment. As a matter of fact, not just only a cup, they can't even carry the most prestigious cup in Europe, which is the Champions League. They haven't done that before. Yeah. But back to... Listen, I'm on Arsenal's side on this one, because I felt like they deserved the point.
Well, Arteta was on my show yesterday, and Arteta said that it's shameful that for the fans who are sending tweets, who are sending Instagram messages, saying that Arsenal should not have been involved in the Super League in the first place. As far as they are concerned, they are not a big club. Now,
I agree.
On my show yesterday, Arteta's reply was that, listen, we're not part of that because of our recent results. It's because of our past results. And in Nigeria, we say, I get them before. Not a property.
True that.
How can you be dependent on your past results?
As a matter of fact, the 2 teams that are rivals, which is Arsenal and Tottenham, have no business in the Super League.
True.
I'd rather have FC Porto
in
the Super League. I'd rather have Shakhtar Donetsk or even Lokomotiv Moscow. Like
Shakhtar, yes.
I like
I like the Shakhtar.
So Arsenal.
Shakhtar in Ukraine, but they're all Brazilians, like a Brazilian team.
It's a Brazilian team. Exactly,
Yeah.
you get the point. Well, fried everybody from
Yeah.
that point. Now, my point is this: Arsenal have no business actually in the Super League because the reality of the matter is you can't even beat Everton at home. That is just the facts. You can't beat Everton at home, and you want to play Barcelona, and all these big
Week
clubs
in, week out.
every week. Madrid,
Come on.
So yeah, you might have one odd victory, but we are looking at 3-4-0 scoreline every single week. And the fact that you cannot be relegated means you'll be there for so many years, just bottom of the league table every season, if that actually ever happens. So Arsenal shouldn't even be in the Super League. I agree with that sentiment. Their only shots of being in Europe next year is the Europa League this season. And they have a very good chance to win it if they really play well, but not the way they are playing with goalkeeping errors and just passing the ball around for beautifully well for 90 minutes and not getting any result from it. I think the issue with Arsenal, which many Arsenal fans will agree with me, is they have lost that extra bite that they had in the early 2000s and in the 90s, when you had great players like Suka, Henry, Vieira, Paulo, Wiltord, Perez. These are players that when they step into the pitch of play, you are guaranteed to get something from the match. Right now, you have players who are more concerned with looking like American hip-hop artists rather than professional footballers scoring goals. Aubameyang, since he signed the thing, hasn't played anything. No pun intended. Lacazette, I don't even know.
For me, Lacazette is the worst striker in the world. For me, really.
Can I ask a question?
He's in front of goal and
are you an Arsenal fan?
Obviously not.
Have you ever supported them at any point in your life?
No.
So where's this? This attack is just so
where
much.
the attack comes from, I still don't get it how a team that was doing so well many years ago under Arsene Wenger, and then honestly, for me, I still think the most beautiful football being played across the world is still by Arsenal till now. They still played beautiful football yesterday. How can you play so well and not win?
Okay.
But, I think it's Arteta who is consistently having to explain himself. Now, yesterday he had to say, okay, good. They asked him, they said, listen, guy, let me read you the story and then we'll come to it. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta insists Friday's 1-0 defeat to Everton wasn't because fans protesting outside the stadium. Over 1,000 supporters were estimated to have gathered outside the Emirates Stadium protesting against the owners for their decision to take the team into the European Super League. Despite fireworks from outside the ground being heard from the pitch, Arteta believes it had no effect on his players' performances. The 1-0 loss of first home defeat in 25 years to the Toffees was due to a Bernd Leno blunder in goal. But Arteta says the German will remain his number one ahead of Matt Ryan.
Well, obviously it's because this is building up, and sometimes enough is enough. And today, to be fair, I had enough.
You mean?
Because we have many of them that no one explains. When they explain them, they say, sorry, yeah, it was a mistake. But unfortunately, it's affecting a lot of people, and it affects our job, and most importantly, our football club. Yeah, but what they do is behind the telephone. That's why I cannot understand it. And I've seen it. I've been in football long enough, and I watch it 10 times. And still, even if I want to find it, I cannot find it.
It's happened in the week? Or
No. We knew that that was happening. We knew that our fans wanted to express their feelings. And we made the preparations with that in mind. And that's not an excuse. We lost the game because at the end, when we had to define the game in the crucial moment, when we had the openings or the chances, no clear chances that we wanted, we didn't do that. Then we conceded an own goal. And obviously, when we earned the right to score with the decisions, that was taken away. We knew that that was going to be the crucial moment of our season. To explain how we lost 5 points with the way that we have performed in those two games and what the opponent had earned is pretty incredible to describe. I gave you a few arguments, but we need to find more.
Smaller chance now.
This is becoming very difficult mathematically to achieve that now.
Thanks for coming.
Well, I think it's a relationship that has to come together from both parties, and some probably giving some opportunities, and the other ones showing that they want to be closer to them. I talk about what my experience is and the relationship that I have with them and how involved they are. And now my biggest challenge as well is get them in the stadium as quick as possible, inside the stadium, and show that passion and that togetherness and unity with the team, because the team is desperate for them to be close to us. No, I think we have two really good goalkeepers. Mark got a chance because he deserved it. I said before the game that he's been training really, really well. And Ben is our number one keeper, and he's been doing well, and errors are part of football. No, we got inside the stadium. Obviously, they know what is happening. They are all connected to social media, and they have access to the information. We let them know the reasons why they were going to be outside, and we just try to do it the right way to affect the less as possible the preparation for the team.
Or not?
I don't know. They were upstairs. I was downstairs, so I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
I really like that we can make use of the technology. It's just we need consistency, clarity, and we want to see the faces and responses. So we are always here in front of the media trying to explain the reasons why we do something, why we do the other thing. And I think that has to be clear and explained.
Right.
Yeah, and how they have made the decision. If they want a whistle next to us and they can referee the game, or what the situation is going to be like. I said that we lost the game for different reasons. One, for things that we can do better and we should do better, and the ones that we cannot control. So again, that error, I make many mistakes, and everybody that is involved in any sport will make mistakes, and it's part of it, unfortunately.
That's why everything that's happened.
I know, I live them, I feel them in the stadium as a player and as a manager only, I think, for a month and a half or two. That's why I said to you guys that I am desperate to have them back, because we really need them. This team really needs them. We have a really young team that has to experience the emotion and the security and the trust that brings when you feel your people really behind you. And that's something that you have to experience to understand the difference that it makes, rather than playing with none of them.
Yeah, the players look.
Yeah, they do, because they put a huge effort tonight again, being the better team on the pitch, like they were again against Fulham, and we got 1 point from 6. So that's as well psychologically a difficult one to digest.
Yeah.
Well, I got, because obviously enough is enough, and this is building up for some games that have cost us a lot of points during the season, and it could have been very, very different. Not the consequences on the game, but the consequences got for future games. And I never talk about it, but at the end I have to defend my club and our interest. And today I said that it's enough.
That's a good manager because he says, Ben Leno, these things happen in football.
It happens.
You can't totally say, yes, they didn't lose. They lost the game because they weren't sinking their chances, not Ben Leno's mistake. However, my problem with Arsenal always comes from the fact that you can't have a Lacazette, a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, a Partey,
Saka,
Bukayo Saka, players of that caliber, of that talent. You have no business losing matches.
even Pepe, who they signed for almost
Yes.
£80 million plus. I agree with that.
Pepe on a good day is fantastic. On a bad day, just not
that's
win.
the thing. When you say on a good day, I don't think Pepe has actually had a good day for Arsenal, in my opinion. I mean, when he was in Lille in France, he was top scorer, absolutely fantastic. Ever since he moved to Arsenal, he hasn't had a good day. I used to joke with Arsenal fans that, okay, you guys signed Pepe, how about you get some onions and salt? So maybe he will work better with the other spices. Now, you mentioned the quality they have. They shouldn't be losing matches. Like I've established on this show before, they have more quality on paper than Leicester City,
True.
than West Ham, who are all ahead of them on the table.
True.
So the question now is not about. I can assure you can get Alex Ferguson, Arsene Wenger, Mourinho, all part of the coaching staff, even Pep, all of them are in that coaching staff to coach this Arsenal team. But if the players don't step up and give more than they are giving right now, because what they are doing, they're just going through the motion, in my opinion. It's just, okay, after 90 minutes, I jog around, I run around,
People
and
have found different reasons why Arsenal just might not be doing very well. In my own little investigation, I realized that at a point when Arsenal sold Gael Clichy and Samuel Nasri to Manchester City at a point some years ago.
Yeah.
It was Gael Clichy and Samuel Nasri.
2012.
And when they got there, Gael Clichy and Nasri consistently said, the training here is too hard. The training here is too tough.
Okay.
And then a season after, Arsenal sold Ruud van Nistelrooy,
Sorry, Van Persie.
Robert van Persie,
Yeah.
to
Man United.
Man U. And Ferguson said, listen, I'm only going to have you on the pitch if you go to the gym and go and get a little chest. For some reason, I'm suspecting just maybe
The training regiment there.
is not just maybe. I'm only just suspecting
Well,
that.
yeah, you can have because we're not really in the backroom stuff.
I'm
we're not in training ground.
Yeah, I'm only just guessing, really.
But also, if you see it, if you watch it, you just notice that the Arsenal players just lack that bite. It's not about skill. You can have the best. You can have that natural skill and ability. We've seen players that have great ability and skill, but they are overweight. I mean, it happened to Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, that is.
Yeah.
It happened to Ronaldinho. Happened to Eden Hazard right now. I mean, it's not about just having that skill. You have to put in the work. And that is your mindset. Honestly, this Arsenal team don't have that winning mentality. And that is the sad reality that Arsenal fans have to come to terms with. Create a team that has a great winning mentality from your academy. You guys like youth players, yes? Then create that mentality.
Before I go to my next story, I remember vividly that what Alex Ferguson told me, or well, told the world, told the world was that when you get to Manchester United, you go through some sort of psychiatric, like a session.
Yeah, a session.
And then when they finish with you, when they are singing a song, Glory, Glory, Man United, you want to cry as a player.
Because
that's how much they actually, when you are playing for Man U, you want to die. You know, and I think Arsenal don't have that anymore. The players don't have that anymore.
That's because, there was a generation of Arsenal players. I mean, there's a time whereby almost every English football team or fan of the football team in England wanted to be associated with Arsenal. I remember one time when Arsenal were just playing so well, I wanted my own team to sign Henry because I'm like, these guys are just... You just knew that... In fact, they were so confident at the time that they didn't even have to watch their matches. They were like, what was the score? Arsenal won. We knew it.
What's the scoreline?
Yeah, exactly. So, but that mentality is no longer there. You see, I mean, we've seen in the old days, Man U against Arsenal, you can see the rivalry already building up in the tunnel between Vieri and Roy Keane. You can see that I'm going to beat you today. No, they had that hunger, that passion. That generation of players are no longer
Those
there.
days, players didn't talk on and off the pitch.
So
they meet in parties off the pitch and they still don't talk.
So
because,
but now, listen, I'm not against this new generation of players that Arsenal have, which is good for social media.
Yeah.
You want to get your numbers up. It's good. It's part of revenue, getting more money into the club. I agree with all that sentiment. But after you're done with your Instagram or Twitch or whatever video you have on social media, with the crazy hairstyles, the crazy jeans, looking all good for social media.
Go play good football for us.
Play good football.
Okay.
That's all.
Now, different coaches have spoken. Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp,
Ancelloti.
Ole Gunnar Solksjaer, Ancelloti. They've spoken about players being stressed. As in, there are so many competitions
Football
in
matches,
England, example.
Yeah.
And the coaches are saying, listen, let's be a little soft on these players. They are human beings too. And because they make so much money, should we kill them on the field of play? So, Jurgen Klopp was giving an impassioned news conference in which he implored the governing bodies to listen to and respect football players with regards to workload. In a week which saw the announcement of a proposed European Super League, Klopp said the owners of the club made a mistake in wanting to join, but that he knows them as people and wants to move forward in a way that is least disruptive. The German added that the outcry from fans to the ESL, which saw its collapse 2 days after its initial reveal, shows that those in power do not have the best interest of the game at heart. Echoing views from Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola, Klopp said that the people who need most to be asked questions about the major changes to the structure of professional football, the players and the managers, never are asked these questions. The 53-year-old explaining he is not in favor of the newly extended UEFA Champions League format. It was recently announced as it means there will be 10 group games instead of 6. Wow.
I can say, I really hope that the bond between us and our supporters, that it might even get stronger, and we don't discuss now always things, what a bad decision in the past. I just don't understand life like this, to be honest. Good people, and I can tell you, I know our owners, they are not perfect, like I'm not perfect, like you are not perfect, but they are not bad people. So, and I made a not so good decision, let me say a bad decision, that's true. But let's carry on. I really think it's, but that's my point of view. I cannot tell other people how they want to see it. But I really try to try that all my life. That if it's something you cannot change anymore, then come on, carry on. Really, carry on. Make sure that you are as good as possible, that you are ready for each fight as much as possible. Get the stronger unit if possible, and go out there and show the world that we can deal with pretty much everything. So nothing happened, and nothing will happen in the near future with the teams. Now they will not come around the corner next week again and try to do something. For sure not. They all learned their lesson. I'm pretty sure. So but now we have to. Just to make sure that we don't get any harm of it, like a different atmosphere in the club, with for other clubs, obviously. When our fans fight with coaches and managers and teams, I don't know if that's true or not. But if things like this happen, that would be then a really bad thing about it. That would be the really bad thing about it. Nothing else, because the rest didn't happen. So they tried something. It was not allowed. So come on, let's go back to the beautiful game it always was. And I'm not naive. I know that things will be discussed. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with change. But we all wanted to have the Super League away. So, but in the same moment, it happened that now the Champions League is out there. And who read this concept properly and says, oh, that's perfect. And who tells me now that's not about money? It's a joke. I said before, Nations League, but with more games. I said before, the FIFA wanted a Club World Cup. It's all, and they don't ask. They just want to introduce it. What's the reason for that? Money. So these kind of things that happens constantly. But in the end, we all could, at least in our moments, have the perfect moment for us. Playing football, enjoying the game as much as we can. And that never changed so far. And I only want to make sure that it will not change. So, because it started already. That's why I said in Leeds, the Leeds supporters wanted to show us as a team. They were shouting at us that we are greedy. So they're like, what are you talking about? But that's exactly the situation we all created. They need to find somebody where they pay attention on it. It was in this case with us, and it was not deserved. But we are Liverpool, that's true. But as said before, Liverpool is much more than this, and that's what I want to make sure. An explanation, I know it, and I have time to speak to them that probably will tell me what they thought, what the thoughts will be behind. But is that really important now? So it's what is said before. If they would have spoken to me before, I would have told them, no, that's not a good idea. Would have changed something? I don't know. So again, a manager is not. I decide a lot of things, but never did before these kind of things. None of us is doing it. So Pep on with. City, pretty much everything, and was not involved in it. So that's a completely normal thing. There are different levels in a club. They try, they have made a decision for some reasons. Yeah, I don't know them, but it's now not about that I get an explanation. I'm not like this. I'm happy about that it didn't happen. And I have so much things to talk about with them. This will actually, from my point of view, not be a part. And why do you do that and stuff like this? We have to plan our future and not talking about what happened last week and these kind of things. It's great that it didn't happen. Absolutely great. It would have been really, really bad. But now it didn't happen, and now I have a job to do, and I cannot do constantly like different jobs. And now again, so make sure that will never happen again. Never. The situation shows it. It will not happen again. So there was now a proper try, obviously, and they couldn't get it through. Believe me. It's now a long time. But something like this will not happen. But other things will happen. Other things will happen. And we spoke about these things before, and nobody listened to the players and the managers. And if we mention it, it's always, the argument is always, yeah, but you get that well paid. Yeah, rotate your squad and all these kind of things. The football structure in this moment is not prepared for more games. And I don't know, and some others on a really high level have no idea how you really shall deal with even more games. And if you have games, competitive games, when you have an international break, stuff like this, that now the national teams play only competitive games as well.
Talking about the stress on the players, of course, he's talking about players will have to get to play the Champions League, get to play the FA Cup, get to play the Carabao Cup, get to play the league itself, get to play Europa, get to play the Nations League, get to play for your country.
Qualifiers for both World Cup and Euros
They're
as well.
friendlies with the country too.
Yeah, it's the fixture.
It's too much.
And the schedule is getting to an insane level. And there's one thing the managers have actually said, a few of them have actually raised that point where they talk about, yes, we are going against the European Super League. However, UEFA and FIFA have failed the players especially because it is more games on these players. and they're humans. They will get tired. The schedule is insane. For me, even personally, the fact that they've increased the number of matches from 6 to 10, that is ridiculous. Why would I want to watch 10 group matches of
Most
my
of you
team?
guys don't listen to what Klopp says, but there's always this hidden crypts inside his words. He said, you are going to end up putting the players more on the hospital bed than they should.
I agree.
That's not the crypt in it. He says you will also push the doctors and the medical people to do things they should not do, go illegal. We're going to start to get to dope these guys.
Steroids.
We're going to get to put them on steroids, anabolic steroids. And that'll be, there's always a cryptic note in whatever Klopp says. He says you put them on the hospital bed and push the medical staffs to do things they should not do.
Well, I think
we're getting there.
UEFA has...
Well, we're actually getting there.
Yeah, I know, but I won't say in their defense, but I'm pretty sure UEFA has their reasons. And they'll always tell you, it's all about developing the sports, giving other teams a chance to play against big
expense
teams.
To kill these people.
But the top teams already have a tight schedule. I know, let's not even forget, with sponsorship deals, you have to go to certain countries, like maybe you can go to Asia for pre-season tournaments. And that's due to the fact that maybe one big company is sponsoring your team. So by that right, you have to go and play 3 or 4 matches pre-season in Asia or in whatever region you're doing your pre-season because of your sponsorship. After that, you now enter a rigorous calendar over 9 months that has so many games. And if you're a top team, top player, everybody will cut Jurgen Klopp's neck if he benches Mo Salah maybe at the Merseyside derby because he wants him to rest. But or they'll say Champions League semi-final, you bench your best player. No, but you have to play your top guys so you can keep winning. And, because it's important as a big team to keep winning.
Sure.
So the schedule is going to start from 2024, but I think they should revise that. It is just too much. Yes, we're talking about the Super League, but this new format of the Champions League, for me personally, is not helpful for the footballers going forward.
We spoke about this before, so just look through it and then we'll come back. Thousands of Arsenal fans gathered outside the Emirates Stadium ahead of Friday's Premier League game against Everton to protest against the North London club's American owner Stan Kroenke following the failed attempts to form a breakaway Super League. Now, proposals for a partially closed competition involving 12 of Europe's top clubs in England, Spain and Italy collapsed on Wednesday, when most of the founders pulled out amidst stinging criticism from fans, governing bodies, and the government. Games continue to be held behind closed doors due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but Arsenal supporters were out in force outside the stadium, lighting flares and chanting Kroenke out, and we want our Arsenal back. However, Kroenke's son Josh, a director at Arsenal, said on Thursday they do not plan to sell the Premier League club despite the intense backlash.
It's important that we come up here for a peaceful protest to show that we're against that league and we're against owners like Stan Kroenke who's ruined our club.
He needs to get out because he's shown he's not a man of integrity, he's not a man of honour. He doesn't have the values of Arsenal at heart. He doesn't come to the matches. I don't go on protests, but this is wrong. And Kroenke need to understand that I'm not some 20-year-old lout, yeah? I'm a reasonable guy. And if I'm agitated by what they've done, imagine how it's gone through the rest of the community. It's plain wrong.
I'm just fed up of the way football fans are treated by so-called billionaires. I just want to have our voice heard and the fans' representation on the board. I've had a season for 35 years. I think the club just don't care about us.
Well, we spoke about that earlier, and of course, just want to show you the fans out there actually saying Kroenke out, and we want our Arsenal back. Now, Manchester United manager Ole Gunnar Solksjaer said on Friday he had never been a supporter of the collapsed European Super League project and was pleased fans had spoken out. The Norwegian, who met angry United fans at the club's training ground on Thursday, he had expressed his views to the club's American owners behind the scenes. United were one of 6 Premier League clubs that initially supported the plan for a league whose 12 founder members would always qualify, but then backtracked 48 hours amid fierce opposition. Solskjaer said it was important to maintain the fear of failure of not qualifying for Europe's top club competition.
First of all, I'm very happy that the fans have voiced their opinion and that we've listened to them. And in a strange sort of way, it's brought brought the football pyramid or community together, and I think that's important. And I'm very happy to, and I'm a supporter myself, and there'll be a day that I'll come back and watch Man United, and I want to watch a Man United team even with a fear of failure. You know, that's one of what I thought about it. I didn't like the concept anyway, because it has to be on sporting merit. I want to earn the right to play in Europe. We know that we have been pioneers, and we've been in Europe for many years, and we were with the Busby Babes. So that's one part of it, that we want to be part of a successful European campaign again. One of my best nights have been something that we worked really hard towards. But then to get that feeling of that fear of failure, that you can't just be giving it on because your name is such and such. You have to earn the right to be there, and then to get the best possible performance. I've always felt and I've always believed in stepping out of your comfort zone, being afraid of failure. That spurs you on, living on the edge a little bit, and that wasn't part of this. I'm very happy that all the clubs that have admitted their mistake, that this was a bad idea, and the way that it came out as well. So it's just when we were talking about getting fans back into the stadium, we get this. And then we were looking forward to bringing fans back into the stadium the next or the last 2 games of the season, and when we weren't able to look forward to it. But the fans, because we have a banner at Old Trafford, and now football is nothing without the fans, and we've felt that for more than a year. It's been a difficult year, as it has been, but now when we're just going to welcome them back in, we get this. So the preparation for the Leeds game was a little bit different, but then again, that's part of being in this industry and in this club as well. Man United is the biggest club in the world, and of course we want to be part of European football.
It's as simple as it comes. Why do we read so hard in university? Why do we have sleepless nights and all that? The fear of failure.
It's part of
and
life.
I know what Solksjaer is saying is, what's the point of playing football if there's no fear of failure? When you are sure you're going to qualify year in, year out in this ESL. The beauty of football is to play this, play that, home and away, qualify, and then by the time you get to the finals or whenever, you feel like I have gone through the storm.
Comebacks. I'll use that term as comebacks. One of the things that made the '96 campaign at the Olympics for the national football team very beautiful was the comebacks in the semi-finals and in the final against Brazil and Argentina, respectively. That getting victory from the claws of defeat is the beauty of football.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, if Nigeria, we played that match and we lost maybe 3-0 to Brazil, and we know, okay, either we will get the gold, there will be nothing that will be in our hearts as football fans. I just mentioned that thing. Fear of failure is massive. Even if your name is big, even if you have a massive name, you have to also, it's just like combat sports. In boxing, if you're the heavyweight champion of the world, even though you've maybe had 10 successful defenses of your title, when you have a challenger, you have to defend your title, because if you lose to that guy, you will no longer be the champion.
Yeah.
So you have to defend that name that you have, your reputation, defend your pedigree. So I agree with Ole on that. And I think even if they're going to have a Super League, let it have competition. Let teams lose and not be a part of the Super League, whatever the future look of that idea might be.
Now you've mentioned it now. That's not in my package, just mention it. Our very own Kamaru Usman will be fighting at 3 a.m. this morning.
Yes.
It takes on Masvidal.
Yes.
And of course, my producer was telling me a few minutes ago that the reason why Masvidal said he lost that game was because he only had six days to train.
Yes.
So we have given him time to train.
First of all, now, I'm so glad you mentioned, because I'm a very big fan of combat sports, especially the UFC. Now, the Nigerian Nightmare Kamaru Usman has proven he is the king of the welterweight division. He has had 17 straight victories. Masvidal has street credibility in Miami, Florida, because that's when there's a guy called Kimbo Slice who is dead now. They used to have these street fights back then in the early 2000s. So my point is that Kamaru, in my opinion, I know I'm being sentimental, but minus the sentiments, Kamaru is a fantastic fighter.
No doubt.
One of the best strikers and best wrestlers as well. He can grapple you down to the ground. Masvidal has a highlight, which is a knockout of a guy called Bob Askren. One of the fastest knockouts in UFC history. He used his knee, just smash his head in. But I think Kamaru Usman gets it this morning or tonight, depending on where you're watching.
Yeah, 3 a.m.
So yeah,
Nigerian time, that is.
Kamaru Usman all the way for me. Minus the fact that he's a Nigerian, I think.
So by this time tomorrow, should we be celebrating?
Not should be. We will be celebrating.
Okay. Wow. Okay, he's so sure of himself. V6, Victor Godfrey.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for joining us on the show.
Pleasure always.
This morning.
Always a pleasure, brother.
Franco, thank you. We hope Chelsea can do it better. Thank you very much, my producer. Don't worry, you get to hear more of him soon. Shemi Lori Adinekon, thank you very much. Join us same time next week, same station, Plus Sports Special on Plus TV Africa. My name is Wale Scott. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.